All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here on Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. This is the joint committee meeting of the Energy Efficiency Board and the Connecticut Green Bank Board of Directors. Brenda Watson sends her regards. She has asked me to chair the meeting in her absence. So why don't we get the meeting started, and let's start off with public comments. Do we have any public comments? I'll give it a moment. There will also be a public comment at the end of today's agenda as well, in case anybody wants to weigh in. Okay, no hands. Let's go ahead and go to the approval of the meeting minutes for March 19th, 2025. As I was noting earlier, I would like to propose a change in the meeting minutes to move Amy McLean Sauls from a voting member to a non-voting member. Those are non-voting members are essentially the staff supporting the boards. That's the only suggestion I would have, but any other comments before I propose that resolution to change the meeting minutes? Any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor of supporting the meeting minutes as presented with the change as proposed? Is there a first?
I'll make that
And do we
motion,
vote now?
Joe.
Yes, John.
Aye.
Great, thank you, John. Is there a second?
I second it, Lonnie.
Thank you, Lonnie. Any questions, comments? Excellent. All those in favor say aye.
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 I think I need to abstain.
Kathy, you abstain?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Mm.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We got one abstentions with Kathy. Okay, great. Let's continue to move forward. And we're at agenda item number 4. And let's see, I do see James DeSantis on the line here. So we have a slide to set some context for the legislative session. Let me turn it to James, and then we'll open it up to the room. James.
All right, good. Yep, thanks, Brian. Good afternoon, everyone. James DeSantis, Legislative Liaison for the Green Bank. A lot happened this session, but I just really wanted to focus on specifically what was relevant to this conversation. So the bulk of the 2025 legislative session, energy policy really focused on the argument of the public benefit charge, what to do with it, how to fund it, what it does. The legislative session started off with Senate Bill 647. You'll see that right there. That was introduced by the Republicans in the House and Senate. And what's interesting about what they proposed was shifting the public benefit charge from electric bills into the state budget as line items. So that would have created an opportunity for gubernatorial line item vetoes, and then also would have been competing against other priorities. That bill was never passed out of the Energy and Technology Committee, so it died within the committee before the JF deadline. The next evolution of the public benefit charge was Senate Bill 1560, which I'm sure you've all read about. This was Jonathan Farr's bill. It did a lot of things, but particularly for what we're discussing here today is it took the public benefit charge, created $2.4 billion in general obligation bonds over a 3-year period to finance the public benefit charge, and then remove that from the electric bills. That was then passed out of the Finance Committee as a JF, and then just sort of waited in the stratosphere as elements of it could be incorporated into Senate Bill 4, which is the final bill. It was the Senate Democrat priority bill. It was heavily negotiated. It was a bipartisan bill. What's interesting in Senate Bill 4, the first working draft, is it did have a general obligation bond very similar to 1560, but it stretched it out $150 million a year over a 5-year period. That was only a working draft. A lot of legislators had press conferences, which you probably read about, and were able to get that the bonding element of the public benefit charge removed from the final bill that was acted upon by the House and Senate. So in the end, there was no impact to the public benefit charge. It remains where it is on the electric bills for the time being. What two important sections of Senate Bill 4 that I just wanted to highlight is Section 6, which is PURA to do a study of renewable tariffs. They're already doing this. It's docket 250214. It was expanded, and also the deadline was moved from January 1 to March 1. So it'll hit, probably about a month after the next legislative session starts in 2026. So this will be a guiding planning document for 2026. The other big one is a Section 18, which is a public benefits charge study, which is to be done by OCC in coordination with DEEP and PURA. And they're looking at every specific line item on the purpose, cost, and benefits of everything within the public benefit charge. Now, this is not expected to be completed until October of next year, which means this will be the planning document for the 2027 legislative session. So essentially, both these sections conduct an audit, per se, of the public benefit charge in detail. So it's just wanted to highlight that for everyone. This will be on everyone's mind for the next year and a half, making sure that the proper data is incorporated into that, so it does paint an accurate picture of what's to come. So that's all I have for a quick update on what's relevant for this discussion today. If there's any questions, I can. Okay.
Yeah, questions, comments for James. Maybe James, just a comment on Section 6 on the renewable tariffs. To be specific, I think those refer to the residential renewable energy solutions, the non-residential renewable energy solutions, and the shared clean energy facilities tariffs, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
So that's looking at successor programs for when those programs end. So those are really important to the clean energy community, but as our utility colleagues are the administrators of, those are very important as we think about both efficiency and renewables. Others, questions, comments? Feel free to jump in.
This is John Harity.
See you,
The part about the on Fonfara's bill, the part about getting some sort of waiver for him to become a member of PURA, that did not pass, right?
I believe that there is language in Senate Bill 4. I have to look into it with more detail, John. I'll look into that and see if I can find the language that pertains to your question, and I'll send it off to you.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Bernie.
One comment, some of the public benefit charge is going to be funded. The Energy Efficiency Board charge, the 0.6 of 1 cent per kilowatt hour, was originally proposed to be bonded, and it was successfully defeated, but other aspects of the public benefit charge are being bonded. For example, some storm damage that's been building up, as well as arrearages. So that's just a clarification comment. And the other is a question. There was a provision that for solar, I think it was the federally, I can't remember, federally non-bypassable congestion charge, or some amount of money was required to come out of the net metering. And I think in my head, it was about 3.2 cents. So there was some impact on net metering that came out of SB4. Is that something you recognize?
You are correct on all those points, right? So I think it was like $50 million that they securitized for EV infrastructure. Arrearages were also pulled out, to your point, and storm costs. And I don't have the exact numbers at hand, but Bernie, I will reach out to you directly on clarification for that as well. But you are correct on all the points that you just stated.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, and we will likely see this summer as Pura goes through its annual review of the RRES and the NRES, the imposition of that negative rec rate or that non-bypassable charge reduction on net metering. Last year, there was a negative rec rate that Pura instituted. This looked like it instituted a larger one. And then secondly, advanced metering infrastructure is really exciting, I think, for all of us as we all think about the future of the equitable modern grid. So that was built into what, James, I think the state bonding capacity to take advantage of the state's lower cost of capital. Sorry, we may have lost James there. John, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I had said it before, but James had not been here at the time, I don't think, that our executive director of the roundtable on climate and jobs and our research director work the legislature during the session quite a bit. And they both found James to be a great advocate for renewable energy and very persuasive with the legislators. So I just want to say, James, that you're doing a great job, are the reports that I get, and you're a great advocate for the Green Bank. So thank you for that.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
He's blushing.
Yeah.
Let's go to the commissioner, Joe.
I guess I'll second that view of James. I appreciate working with you, James. And then just to clarify, I think there is a distinction between the bonding for a few expenses, including the EV chargers, which will come off of bills paid by ratepayers, and then the storm costs and any expenses related to the advanced metering. Those are treated differently. Those are going to be securitized, as I understand it. And what that means is that that's going to become a separate line item, exactly in what form that takes, but it'll be a separate line item, but remain on the electric bill. So there's some distinction between those two categories, between bonding and securitization.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarification. Any other questions, comments? All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, James.
thank you.
Okay, let's continue on. Yeah, so we're going to transition into kind of updates on where our respective planning processes are. So I will tackle the update on the Connecticut Green Bank, and we've got Stacy on the CL&M plan. So we are right now, the Green Bank, in the midst of its fiscal year 26 planning process. In the month of May, through our Budget Operations and Compensation Committee, we have several meetings in May and early June, where the staff presents and discusses with the board members our proposed budget, targets, and investments for the subsequent fiscal year. So those recommendations from that committee are going to our board this Friday. So here's kind of a snapshot of those recommendations. We have essentially three programmatic areas as an organization that we focus in on. One is our incentive programs that are led by Sergio Carrillo, really supporting the implementation of Public Act 2153, the energy storage target of 1,000 megawatts by the end of 2030. So in collaboration with the EDCs, who are co-administrators of energy storage solutions, our focus is to support over 500 projects and 15 megawatts of battery storage deployment. A large part of those numbers are residential targets. This has been one of the hardest markets to get going. There's just not enough value being perceived in storage from residential ratepayers. The resilience value, knock on wood, we don't need any more storms taking out our power, but that would be a driver And on the C&I side, we're working through interconnection timelines, dispatchability, also on residential, making sure that the passive and active dispatch are working to the program design. So team's still working through how that program will ultimately deliver not only resilience to the participants, but peak demand reduction in the summer and winter to benefit all ratepayers. On the financing program side, which is led by Mackie Dykes, we have a whole gamut of different financing programs and products with targets that we've set. For example, our CPACE program, which is set into statute. We're an administrator of CPACE. We are a financier, not the financier. So we do set targets for the projects that we're seeking to finance. We also run a solar map, and that should be Solar Map Plus, a marketplace assistance program where we provide technical assistance and financial assistance to cities, school districts, the state, and now increasingly multifamily affordable housing in support of both the RRES and the NRES policies. We've, of course, got our partnership, which we will hear later from Steve and Mackie on our small business energy advantage with Eversource. And then lastly, our Smart E-Loan program. Collectively together, we're hoping to reach 1,400 projects and over 25 megawatts. So that's our financing programs. And then lastly, environmental infrastructure. We continue to expand the types of measures that our Smart E-Loan and CPACE programs can support per environmental infrastructure. We're also pursuing unique opportunities through our Green Bank Capital Solutions program. So that think of that as an open RFP. If you're a project developer, you can come to the Green Bank and apply through that open RFP. For example, our board, actually our deployment committee in May approved of a thermal oxidizer to be put on an organic waste to food processing facility to help work with our state to reduce its organic waste. So we're excited by supporting that project. And then lastly, on environmental infrastructure, we've been working to develop a strategic program to support, and we think that as a result of the passage of SB 9 this session, now Public Act 2533, and its inclusion of resilience improvement districts, that we have a tool to support environmental infrastructure. So RIDS is a component that uses tax increment financing at the local level. You could think of it as a CPACE, supersized, where a community can identify a number of resilience projects that it wants to support. They work themselves through a local democratic process. They develop a comprehensive plan. It's called a district master plan. They come up with some financing to support these projects, and a benefit assessment like CPACE would be put on all the properties that benefit from those resilience projects. So we will be spending a lot of time this year planning based on that legislation to think about how we go into next fiscal year, come this time next year, what we plan on proposing to our board that we do to support this ambitious public policy. We're excited by it. It was the governor's key climate and adaptation policy priority, and we're there to help support and attract private investment in improving the resilience of our communities. As we all see what's happening in Washington, as we see the NOAA predictions on, our hurricane season, we definitely need to get tools in place to support our municipalities and our residents to increase resilience against the impacts of climate. So we're going to be spending a lot of time this year planning. Those are the Green Bank's tentative, subject to Friday's board meeting on the review and approval. Happy to take comments, questions, anything. Great, thank you, John.
Just are there any communities that we think are like up for this?
One would hope, like in the environment that we're in, there are communities. Tax increment financing is a public finance tool that's been used quite a bit for municipalities to support economic development. We will, go through a process this year to see what cities and towns are interested in using this type of structure to support project investment. So we'll know. But most definitely, I think our communities are feeling the stress of how to handle, climate, weather-related activities. I know the governor, when we had this conversation early on in session, was frustrated with the need to rely on federal sources of funding, and that people are going to be looking to the state when the insurance markets, the banking markets need to all be looking at this, because this can become a very big problem quickly if we're not prepared. So I think there are many lessons, but California wildfires taught us a lot about the destruction of wealth in rather quickly, just literally the loss of economic value for any party. So we'll see. We think it's a tool, and we'll see what municipalities think as we go through the planning process.
And we're going to help advise communities about how they might go about this and that type of thing.
Yeah. So the statute actually establishes a couple of priorities. One is to ensure that vulnerable communities are the focus. So that's really important. The second is using nature-based solutions. We tend to think build it to protect us, when sometimes nature can protect us too. So those are two priorities. But what we're thinking about, John, and we've got an internal Greenstorm this Friday after our board meeting, is that we would be providing some form of technical assistance, kind of like what we do with Solar Map, to assist municipalities in developing that district master plan, then possibly providing them with financial assistance by issuing bonds. We can issue up to 50-year bonds and up to $500 million of bond raising. So we'll see if those tools are of interest to municipalities who want to increase their resilience. We would suspect there are a few municipalities who will take advantage of it.
Thank you.
Kathy.
So just an FYI, New Haven is just finishing up their Vision 2034 plan, and resilience and resiliency hubs are prominent in there. Well, they're in there anyway. There's a lot of things in there. So I'm also wondering, how much further into grassroots work might you consider going? And the reason I'm asking that is I know Neighborhood Housing Services is starting to work on making those connections with emergency management services, et cetera, to be a strong resilience hub. We already are one, but to really strengthen that. And we have partners in Bridgeport and in North Hartford that are doing similar work. We've already had a resilience hub summit that was sponsored by Yukon Circa, and we were panelists there, and there was also folks from Baltimore, I think, or Philly, that were talking about what they are doing, how they're supporting resilience hubs that can form networks that are really reaching the folks that need that help the most. So I just wanted to make sure you guys know that these are three places where they're really pushing forward actively on resilience. The cities, the municipalities would be the ones doing the larger infrastructure projects. But on the other hand, the grassroots is a key component for all of that. as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. I flagged it, Kathy, as part of our research on technical assistance, the engagement of local community groups, neighborhood groups, because, ultimately, if a community decides to move forward with resilience projects, clean energy projects, environmental infrastructure projects, they have to work through a process to have the town approve it, whatever its town process is to do that, and ensuring that the voices, especially of vulnerable communities, which is a priority in the act, will be important. So I'll make sure we, in our technical assistance that we're going to be hiring somebody to help us think about, that we're digging into local groups. Lonnie.
Yeah, I just want to say, Circa has frustrated me forever. We created Circa to be much more dynamic, and it's very thoughtful. But in terms of really getting out and interacting with communities, which is how we initially hoped that it would be structured when we, put some revenue in there, it just feels that we could be utilizing them a lot more aggressively. And I at some point had asked, some of the scientists, you go there and you listen and fabulous, let's go, let's do it. Okay, come to the communities, let's talk, oh, we can't get there, I've got to do this or got to do that kind of thing. So it just feels like there are mechanisms that we've created that we have not launched effectively. And it's frustrating to communities because there are communities who are asking for it and, want it to be a lot more interactive.
Yeah, I agree. Circa has been out there talking to a number of communities over the past, say, 5+ years, having conversations about various things that could happen in those communities project-wise. So in the context of resilience improvement districts, there's a statutory requirement for a district master plan, which has, 12 really specific things that have to be done. So in the context of Circa and working with James and John, the planning has to be revenue quality. It has to be make sure that it's hitting all those things in the plan so that it can be presented, voted on, and then a benefit assessment can be put on all of those properties to raise the capital. But yeah, you're right. It's how do we get to the funding side and moving the project beyond the planning to the investment and realizing the project.
Yeah, and I remember Joe Courtney worked really closely with us. We had federal money coming in if we could name it and claim it, and we really haven't been able to do that. So just saying, we could do something more with that. I think the time has come.
That's right. Totally right. Great. Any other questions, comments? All right, let's keep going. Okay, Stacy, we'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Brian. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stacy Sherwood, lead technical consultant with the Energy Efficiency Board. If we go to the next slide, we are in the last month been kicking off the planning process to update the plan update for 2026. It feels like we just wrapped up the plan from last year for 2025 through 2027. But as a reminder, we have a 3-year planning process that we completed last November, and now we're working on the plan update for each year within that plan process. So we're focusing on 2026. The companies plan to have an update to the text to be posted on Energize CT for review by the public on 4 dates with different versions. So the first version will be available on July 11th. Followed by an updated version on August 8th, incorporating comments that are received from both the technical consultants, board members, and stakeholders. Then there will be another version on September 5th that is going to be provided by the companies and then discussed at the September board meeting. And then a final version will be released on October 1st for any final comments prior to the November 1 filing requirement. As part of that process, we encourage public comments, and we have 3 rounds that are formal. The first is that on the July 11th draft, we can have any comments received by August 1st to the executive secretary. We'll work on incorporating those as part of the August 8th version that will be put out. Additionally, there will be 2 public comment sessions that will be held virtually. First one will be on August 27th. This will be the first round of inputs, and it will be on that version 2. That'll be available August 8th. This will be a session that's held from 12 to 1. And then on September 25th, we'll hold a second public input session that will discuss the version 3 of the 2026 plan update. This will be an evening session that will be held from 6:30 to 7:30. We're hoping to get different participation by staggering those events at different times. And of course, we can always receive public participation or public input at any time. It can be submitted to the executive secretary or verbally provided at one of the EEB monthly meetings. On the next page, just kind of talk through this timeline a little bit for the process. As I mentioned, we've kind of started this process already. On May 15th, evaluation studies were due from the evaluation administrator so that they can be incorporated into the program savings document for 2026. At the June 11th EEB meeting, we provided this schedule and also solicited any ideas for the plan updates themselves. And then by June 30th, all evaluations need to be completed for that for the program savings document. And on July 11th, as I mentioned, the draft plan will be released. The next big thing that will be happening is in August. Comments will be due on August 1st, as I mentioned, with the draft plan being released on the 8th. And then we'll have an EEB meeting where the companies will present their plan at the August 13th meeting, and then we'll hold that public input session. We kind of continue this iteration again in September, where final budgets will be posted as well as the draft plan update. And then EEB will vote on the approval of the budgets. We'll also hold a second public input session on the 25th, and the final PSD will be sent to all the consultants on September 26th. The final version of the plan that the board will be voting for will be posted on October 1st. And will be discussed at the October 8th EEB meeting, with the vote taking place then and any final recommendations to be included in the plan. And then the companies will file the 2026 plan update and the PSD on October 31st. Any questions on the timeline? Not, we'll head over to the next slide. So one of the biggest updates that's going to happen as part of the 2026 plan is the incorporation of the draft determination that DEEP released on May 15th on the 2025 through 2027 plan that was filed on November 1st of last year. Comments on the draft determination that DEEP released are due today by 4 p.m. Just throwing that out there in case anybody wants to squeeze them in after this meeting. But breaking down some of the highlights here on the residential side, the draft determination is looking to pair electrification and weatherization and is establishing a way for participants through the residential program to receive bill impact analysis through customer reports that they will get for their audits that are performed on their homes. Also, gas combustion equipment incentives will be limited to only those who are income qualified, which is less than 60% state median income. With the change in the gas budgets in terms of gas combustion equipment, there's also a way that DEEP is outlining to prioritize gas budgets to be used for weatherization measures. And DEEP is also looking to permit establishing a HES moderate income tier, so getting to the 60 to 80% state median income. And this is so that we can match with the home energy rebates and the home electrification and appliance rebates from the IRA funding. DEEP also directed that the companies and technical consultants work together to draft a proposal to address red tag equipment through the CNLM programs and whether there's opportunities there. We've been talking over the last several months about coordinations between those efforts. DEEP is also planning to reopen the weatherization standard proceeding. As part of that, they will finalize the baseline standard for weatherization as it relates to the original target of 80% of homes being weatherized by 2030. The determination also allows for existing connected solution customers to participate in that program through December 31st of 2027 and to allow for a smooth transition over to the energy storage solutions program. And finally, one of the big pieces out of the residential side is that it's going to reallocate research development. Steve, I'm blanking on the other D.
Demonstration.
RD&D, research development demonstration.
Demonstration. Thank you.
Demonstration. Yeah.
Because we also have the policy working group that falls under that. There's just too many acronyms there.
Yeah.
Thank you. So reallocating that budget so that an ombudsperson can be used to track and compile contractors' concerns and issues and help to facilitate as the primary contact between DEEP, the contractors, and the EEB. Any questions on the residential updates? All right. On the next slide, we're going to talk about C&I. One of the primary items that came out of the C&I is that they're permitting the phase out of non-controlled lighting incentives over the 2025 through 2027 term, but also requesting that a custom approach be developed by the companies for situations where controlled lighting may not be feasible. It also directs a weatherization first pathway through incentives, technical assistance, and increased financing, as well as on-bill options for small business customers. The draft determination also says to continue direct incentivization of gas combustion equipment on a case-by-case basis, but only when the electrification is not deemed technically feasible. So here's the other caveat in terms of the gas combustion equipment we had on the residential side, and this is the one for the C&I side. The order also is directing that no new fossil fuel generations be allowed into the C&I active demand response programs. Existing customers can remain in this program through December 31st, 2027. And then it's directing research to review potential for renewable fuel on-site systems in the C&I active demand response program, looking at hydrogen and biofuel systems. A couple other topics that were covered as part of the DEEP determination, not applicable to certain sector, is that it directs the establishment of market spend threshold and requires the companies to file a marketing and communication outreach plan. It removes some studies from evaluation that have been earmarked and directs reallocation of those funds towards the CNLM program budgets for various initiatives. DEEP also directed reallocation of $750,000 of CNLM funding to have a third-party CNLM audit. DEEP also plans to open up a performance management incentive proceeding to evaluate those metrics that are currently providing incentives to the utilities. And the plans themselves, when filed, need to include confidential benefit cost models that have typically been reviewed behind the scenes. Any questions?
This is John Harady. I just have a comment that I like the idea of looking at how to develop on-site systems for using hydrogen rather than piping hydrogen anywhere, since that sustains the natural gas pipeline, because hydrogen can't go through the pipelines without having natural gas in the current infrastructure. So on-site development of hydrogen through renewable, like solar energy, to extract hydrogen from water is a great way of using fuel cells.
Great, thank you for that comment. All right, on the last slide here, this is just kind of going over what the progress is towards the 2026 plan itself. And ultimately, it's going to offer customers a way to coordinate the CNLM programs along with solar, EV, and battery storage initiative. The companies are currently working with the Green Bank on a PMI metric that requires them to work on a joint initiative and develop that by October 1st. So I imagine at the next joint meeting, we'll be discussing that a little bit further. The companies themselves have engaged with a third party to facilitate the development of the plan, and the companies held an internal brainstorming meeting to talk about ideas that could be included in the plan itself. In addition to the ones that are listed here on the slide, the companies also plan on incorporating the final determination that was released by DEEP on the HES and HES-IE income eligible program redesign. We'll be incorporating the final results of the determination that I just went through on the highlights. Also, Senate Bill 4, an act concerning energy affordability, access, and accountability pieces will be incorporated in there, and then also incorporating the federal program funding and savings as it is connected with the CNLM programs. Ultimately, though, the plan's goals are going to be looking at co-promotion of the programs, encouraging comprehensive projects across the board, whether it's in EE, renewables, electric vehicles, or battery storage, and spur customer investment by promoting financing offerings, whether it's coordination with the Green Bank, other institutions, or with using CNLM funding. We also want to make sure that we're conducting education outreach to the market actors to get more participation within the programs, and recognizing that private solar industry conducts its own primary marketing, but how can we coordinate with that as well? Anything I missed there, Steve?
No, that was good. I mean, we're starting the process, Brian, to work with your team, doing a quick kickoff to get the schedule and process squared away. And then like I said, we have initial ideas from the companies, but then we're going to broaden the scope and get the right players from your team and move this one forward, along with the Energy Efficiency Board technical consultants as well.
Awesome. Bernie?
Thank you. I have a conceptual question. Right now, the Green Bank wrangles private funds to the benefit of green projects. The EEB clearly sees the benefit of financing to enable people, businesses to overcome the high cost of initial adoption. But is there an opportunity for, instead of offering direct rebates, which we do now on the EEB side, to actually take some of that money, which let's just say $750 a ton for a heat pump, and instead of delivering it directly to the customer, actually use it through the Green Bank. So throw the money over the wall to the Green Bank and say, let us recreate something like the heat loan, which is a 0% financing. And why might we do that? It seems like it would be a way to stretch the EEB dollars further if that actually had any market traction. That may or may not be happening now. I'd like to know if it is. And is it feasible, or is it just intrinsically verboten? Thank you. Or did that make sense?
Steve, did you want to address that? I feel like there was a Smarty Loan IRB or something, maybe slide.
Yeah, there's another slide coming up. Maybe Brent could hold that thought for a little bit of the future.
You got
it. Yep. Thanks, Brian, and thanks, Bernie.
Any other questions, comments? Great, John.
Yeah, just in terms of the public comment process, you might want to check with Commissioner Deitz from DEEP. When Governor Malloy established a council during his administration, the roundtable had facilitated having public comment from a number of different places at one time through using video connections and stuff, so that instead of everybody having to come to one place, we're able to have like comments from New Haven and Bridgeport and Hartford and New London and a few different places all at the same time.
We can take that into consideration. These are virtual comment periods. These public ones are entirely virtual, so there is no location that people have to travel to.
Right.
We are also available for the EEB meetings in person at DEEP, but this is something we are looking into more to ensure that we get adequate feedback from the public. So something we can consider. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Stacy. That was great. Any other questions, comments? All right. I think, Steve, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Sure. I'll start this section.
Dashboards.
So next slide. In Connecticut and also similarly in the state of Massachusetts, the energy efficiency teams have gone through an RFP process to redo their statewide energy efficiency dashboards. The dashboard, it's probably should be a slide, but it's ctenergydashboard.com. I kind of go through a couple slides here what we're working on. But the goal is to combine, in Connecticut, we have two. There's an energy efficiency one and also a municipal dashboard. We want to put them together. These dashboards in Connecticut were probably built around 2011, 2012. So there's more user-friendly interfaces, new technology, and overall a way to basically make the highlights more meaningful to new customers, talk about customer savings, bill impacts. I want to take the time to basically look at new ways to kind of present some of the savings that we do that mean different things to different people, and maybe help understand the public benefits charge, understand what you're paying for and also what you're getting. And then we also currently today, we incorporate financing programs and the Green Bank Smarty Loan Program, but there's a desire to include more there as well. Next slide. These are conceptual wireframes, so don't take them to be what's going to look like. But at a high level, the homepage would have basically information on program highlights, number of heat pumps installed, or power plants avoided, cars off the road, for example, environmental impacts. Over on the right side, potentially bill savings, how much you're actually saving on your energy bill versus the terms that mean less to people at the bottom right hand, which are like, MMBTUs or kWh. I think we want to get more real terms to have meaning to customers as they log into the data, the dashboard. And also incentives, how much we actually providing to customers to get home inspections done, weatherization, or different measures on the C&I side. And so this would be the conceptually homepage, and then with tabs on the left side that would give customers or users the ability to look at other things on programs, reporting, analytics, financing, the revenue, what are the revenue sources, etc. Next page. Another potential wireframe conceptual that would be on the analytics side. So you can look at savings per sales, cost per BTU saved, look at these savings over time, and you could basically do drill downs on different date ranges, different types of fuel, different programs, companies meaning whether it's Eversource or Avangrid, or then even whether it's electricity or natural gas. And we also want to do more drilling into measures as well. We've expanded the dashboard to include a lot of detail on heat pumps, but there's other measures that are equally as exciting to look at and see how they're trending over time. Next page. And this one here would be the like financing. Right now we have financing programs on the dashboard. We have the Smarty loan. We have we used to have the energized heating loan that's still there, but that program sunsetted. And as I mentioned earlier in the beginning, so we typically focused on residential financing programs, but we've been making a lot of progress with the Green Bank team over the years on the C&I financing, especially the small business community customers. We want to put that on the dashboard as well. And similarly, you can look at that by measure, by loan participation, and also by company and by particular loan program itself. Next page. And then this I'm going to transfer over. I think it's going to Brian next.
Yeah, we're going to transfer to Eric. I think
Eric, thanks.
I got him on the line, but just want to kind of say broadly, I think as Richard and Steve came to the agenda on wanting to include data dashboards, I mean, we're all super excited by this. I think, Steve, the thing that you said there that struck me was, data means different things to different people, right? So obviously, like ratepayers versus us as policy maker implementers, our whole language is different than what reaches them. So as you were going through, I was thinking about those sorts of things. That'll be really, really important. But let me turn it to Eric to give just an overview on some of the public facing and internal dashboards that the Green Bank uses.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Steve. Happy to share what we have. We our primary externally facing dashboard is our Maya tool, which started as some GIS efforts that we have, hence the name. It's a very GIS focused dashboard, allowing people to see the mapping analysis of your area, also referencing some of the poetry by Maya Angelou. But on this, you can look at specific geographies, be that a House district, be that a congressional district, be that a municipality, or you can look across all of them and see program-wide impacts. And you can see there's impacts in terms of investment, in terms of job creation, in terms of energy demand reduction, things like that. You can see it by program or by sector. So be that look at everything that CPACE or look across all of our commercial, industrial, and institutional programs. So we have a couple of clips from that here. Here's a good view of what we're doing kind of cross program. Our other public-facing dashboard is for our energy storage solutions program. So here we're tracking all of the KPIs as we're required to by PURA. Both of these are Power BI based dashboards. We're in the process of re-envisioning the Maya one. So Steve, this is perfect timing. We'd love to work with you guys to make sure that we have tie-ins and if we can feed something on your end, but we're creating our own just to see our own impacts. And I think we're going to switch the end tools, which will give it a bit of a sleeker format and allow a lot more functionality for a user to take a look at. Next slide, please. Internally, we have a lot of different data and we're dashboarding a lot of different things that we don't necessarily post externally. So on the top left, we have our standard just organizational dashboard. How are we moving towards targets? I think I have up here just the quarters targets. So looking across the organization, what percentage of the way are we there? To the right, I have something that's very programmatic. This is on our Smarty loan, able to see by contractor who's doing what types of measures, being able to see changes in those year on year, identify what trends are there. The area where I think we've benefited most, at least from my opinion, from just data visualization and some of the dashboards we've built has been within our asset management and what we've been doing to monitor, maintain, track, and monetize the recs that we're getting from the RSIP program. So I know we haven't talked about RSIP in a long time, but those systems are very much alive and generating. So right here, we have a dashboard of just what's reporting. And I mean, if you go back, I had a good example, but I couldn't get some of the non-public data off of it. You can see the 3G reporting. And so when 3G converted to 4G, we had a bunch of systems drop off. So we're able to visualize things like that overnight. We're moving that to being much more real time where it makes sense. Behind all of this, we have a pretty sizable data warehouse for all of our programs except ESS. ESS has its own segregated warehouse. But we have dashboards where we can track all of our KPIs as well as our key risk indicators and kind of dive into various aspects of the program. So where there are data requests, we're more than happy to work with anyone to satisfy those. Steve, I look forward to partnering on this.
Sounds good. And we're using Power BI in our new dashboard as well too, Eric. So that's good.
Yeah, questions, comments. I mean, let me maybe set some context and just invite members to comment. I mean, a couple of years ago, Chair Watson brought to this joint committee the importance of multifamily affordable housing, and our teams have dug into various things, and programmatically we're seeing the results of that kind of initial and ongoing effort. To me, Steve, when this came out, I was like, oh, this feels equally, meaning we should just get our teams together and continuously pull some thoughts together, think about things and implement and get to that energized CT dashboard for all ratepayers, sort of thing, which sounds super cool. Bernie.
Steve, you may have said it and I missed it, but to me, in my mind, one of the big things that you're doing here in Massachusetts is bringing together the municipal dashboard, which gives you the town by town view, and integrating it with I guess the other dashboard, which contains more stuff. But the net of that melding will be the ability to drill down to municipal levels and see the adoption of programs, the consumption of energy, and which I think is really important to the 169 towns. So I commend that effort, because the municipal dashboard right now is a kind of an artifact from a different IT
Yeah,
error.
different reason, yeah.
And I would be remiss in any data conversation to not thank Bernie and his team for the gift of all the grand list data that they gave us a couple of years ago, which, while we don't have it all in a dashboard, we have used that and have created various things with it to help us identify opportunities and kind of allowed us to pivot in certain directions in terms of project identification and where we want to target.
Love it. Becca.
Hey, folks. I just wanted to flag that thank you for all the hard work here for everybody doing this stuff. I'm really excited about all of these, modern ways to look at data and play with it. I think it's going to help us in the long term with a lot of policy stuff. But I guess I just wanted to highlight the fact that this moment is happening, and I think this is an opportunity for us to try to collaborate as much as possible to help take what has historically been somewhat siloed information sets of a lot of work on the financing side and then a lot of work on sort of these direct rebates and incentives, and maybe being able to visualize them more coherently together so that we can publicly showcase what customers themselves are exposed to. I'd love to just continue that conversation. I think even within the Energize CT dashboard currently being reimagined, we sort of have financing as its own little section, its own page. But that really isn't showing the whole picture, right? I know the Energize CT efficiency programs are, of course, getting maybe the initial assessments done or helping with some upfront rebates, but a lot of market rate customers are really dependent on the low cost financing that's helping them actually get these projects installed. And I'd love to make sure that picture is shown cohesively, I guess. And so anyway, all I'm doing is highlighting the fact that I think we're in a really prime moment to maybe reconsider how we visualize all these things and how we share this data together.
Love it. Let's go to Richard.
Yeah. And just to Becca's point, sort of going back a couple slides that Stacy shared with us, reminder that we've got this program management incentive metric right there. Yeah. And maybe coordinated dashboards belongs on this list. So just a thought.
Excellent. So what I'm hearing to Becca's comment, which is I feel the same, Becca, like we've got so much here, and I would invite us to be thinking too about the other programs that the utilities administer so that they're all there for all customers. And let's take this offline like we did with affordable housing in those early days of all the different federal funds and how are we thinking about it, and pull the team together. I mean, maybe Steve, let's figure out who on the consultant side needs to be there. And then on the Green Bank side, Eric will be, our lead there. And let's just have fun digging in to all the data sets that we have and think about all the different stakeholders we're trying to speak to. Becca, you said publicly showcase and customers seeing. So there are specific audiences that I think we're targeting, and we may not be speaking MMBTUs, we may be speaking a different type of thing, but I think we're going to have to wrestle with who are we trying to communicate to through the different dashboards, which is a fun exercise and needed.
Sounds good, Brian. And we appreciate Deep's input in this round, this cycle. So it gives us a different perspective, and I think hopefully it gets us to where, what Becca was mentioning, so we can get legislators and state reps to take a look at it and get a higher level picture.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think this is John Hardy. I think it's real important to have the audiences that you're aiming for take a look at it before it's finalized, because it's real easy for people that are involved in the world of energy to get way beyond what the normal person understands about this whole subject. And I mean, I've been involved with this for more than 10 years, and there's still stuff that I'm learning every day. So just like, the acronym "Keep It Simple, Stupid." It really, I think, applies here.
Love it. Yeah, we could be wonky amongst each other, and you were speaking. Yeah, and like to Bernie's point, I think arming all the people in our communities to be proponents and sellers of all the different programs is where I think we want to be, giving them tools. But a lot of different things to think about. Okay, so we definitely have a follow up here, Steve, on like poking and setting up the groups and getting that kind of cadence. I'll talk to Brenda and bring it to her as a priority from the joint committee.
Sounds good.
I'm wondering, Brian and Steve, whether Steve's already done this by setting up a meeting Friday morning at 11. Wasn't that sort of the beginning of this discussion?
That was more of like just kick off on the joint metric, but then I think to Brian's point, we'll have probably specific for dashboard. So we can talk about a little bit on Friday, and then we'll make it part of the agenda going forward. Richard, I think we can do them together. Makes sense.
Perfect.
Yeah, I noted to Steve, Richard, that we have a board meeting on Friday that goes from 9 to noon. So all my team out.
Got it. Yeah,
but
that doesn't work.
We get the intent,
Yeah.
and Steve will work it. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, let's keep going here. So yeah, the updates. Steve, Mackie, I'll look to you guys here.
Mackie, you want to go?
You want to do it, Steve?
You can go, Mackie. I was talking too much already.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mackie Dykes with the Connecticut Green Bank. Our primary work together in the CNI and government sector is our longstanding partnership around the small business energy advantage financing. I think, as I mentioned in the last meeting, we extended that arrangement for another 3 years. Signed the contract a few months ago. We've completed one purchase of loans from Eversource since then. And we are in the midst of doing the second loan sale of this year right now. We got the data last week, and we're putting the loan docs together now, and we'll finalize that before the end of the month. And as you see here, that'll be around $3.5 million of loans that the Green Bank and Amalgamated Bank, our financing partner, are purchasing to refresh the capital available for businesses and municipalities to take advantage of through this program.
Questions, comments? I guess the other thing I would add to Mackie and Steve's comments here is, as we've gone out to bring in private capital through Amalgamated Bank, we're also going to the crowd. So I think we've got 2 more days left on our Green Liberty Notes offering, and every quarter we issue about $350,000 of 1-year notes that support the SBEA, just to give people an opportunity to invest in the program. I'll chat through for folks who are interested the offering. It's another way to engage people. Okay, let's keep going. Steve, I think we're coming back to the burning
one. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Just a quick note on the last slide. There was a CTEC meeting today, and kind of gives residential and commercial contractors. And just I'll point out, Mackie, we kind of talked about this briefly in the last week as well, but there was a desire for some contractors and small business to raise the loan limit. I think it's currently $100,000. To raise that to $200,000 or $250,000. So we'll take a look at that, see what projects are out there, and then bring it back to the team. And then just one other note, just before Joe and Becca's time, but deep back to the merging of EV and charging stations and things like that. There was a request a while back where we allocate roughly about $1 million per year, although we haven't seen that demand yet, to projects where they do both energy efficiency and like an EV charging station or battery storage system, that we would finance that through this pool as well. We just haven't gotten many of those takers yet, so that's what we want to work on, that PMI metric that Richard mentioned to get more of that stuff to happen. Thanks. And this, yeah, I'll just do a quick note, and I know this isn't not necessarily a program I'm working on 100%, so maybe someone else wants to comment, but just a note that the Energized Heating Loan, which the companies do manage, that program expired, was legislative mandate, so that puts a lot of program demand for heat pumps into the Smart E loan, and then so the Smart E loan rate is roughly in the mid 6% for a 10-year loan. So there is interest in seeing if there's ways we can look at ways, to Bernie's point about dropping down, Brian, the interest rate on that loan. The heat loan in Massachusetts, very expensive, is it's a 0% up to $25,000, 7 to 10 year term. I think it's 7 years now. And so that costs the programs a lot of money, but it does get a lot of traction, and it does help the adoption of heat pumps. The Energized Heat Loan that expired was a $15,000 max at a 0.99% interest rate, but it had some kind of caveats as well too. It had to be a minimum customer down payment. So we saw a lot of customers get both, but now with that loan sunsetting, it puts everything over to the Smart E loan. And so if there's anything we can do as a team collectively to bring the Smart E loan down, that would be great, to get a little bit of a better interest rate to customers. Maybe not zero, Brian, but maybe something like below 5% or something, just to help customers make that investment in the heat pump.
Yeah, Steve, I think that Bill Colonis reached out to you. I think we're in the process of setting something up. So looking forward to that conversation.
Perfect.
On the multifamily front, the Green Bank continues its longstanding capital partnership with Capital for Change for the Lime loan, which supports efficiency and solar debt for multifamily properties. And then in-house, we continue our work pairing affordable multifamily solar and storage with energy efficiency upgrades, and using the ability of or to assign a portion of the RES tariff for master meter properties to the Green Bank in order to finance those energy efficiency upgrades. So our first portfolio of projects, we've RFP'd and selected contractors to build those. We're in the process of contracting those now. So would hope to see, as long as we work through the solar ITC issues that we see at the federal level right now, assuming we see a workable path, we expect RES applications for those solar and efficiency projects to go in the next couple months.
Excellent. Thank you, Mackie. Thank you, Steve. Any questions, comments? We are getting to the end of our agenda here. Maybe just a quick comment, just to Bernie and crew. We're trying to figure out our relationship with Honeycomb to do project-specific raises too. So think about community projects. Stay tuned for that. That's coming this fiscal year. All right. Let's go to public comments. See if there are any public comments. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn? Kathy, we're going to get you out 20 minutes before your 3 o'clock.
Yep. So thank you. So moved.
All right.
Second.
Excellent. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. Everyone have a good rest of the week. Stay inside. It's supposed to be hot and humid out there. But have a good rest of the week.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.